MRS, Mrs. MISS, Miss. MS.
And get off my lawn!
Welcome to Geezer Gab. I'm CJ, and I'm feeling a bit geezerly today. But before I rant, you should appease the algorithm by liking and subscribing. All the cool kids are doing it. Today, we're talking about the title spelled MS, its history, its pronunciation, and how we got to a place where most people say it wrong. Let's be clear, MS is not a 1970s invention. It actually dates back to at least November 1901, when it was suggested in a Massachusetts newspaper, the Springfield Sunday Republican, as a compromise between Miss and Mrs. Over the decades, it popped up here and there, mostly in secretarial handbooks and business correspondence, as a practical solution when you didn't know a woman's marital status. But here's the thing. It wasn't widely used, and the pronunciation was inconsistent. Some people said Ms., especially in the South. Others said Miss. It was a linguistic orphan. Then came Gloria Steinem and Ms. magazine in 1972. Steinem and her co-founders didn't invent MS, but they reclaimed it. They gave it a clear purpose, to create a title for women that didn't reveal marital status, just like MR, Mr., for men. And they were very clear about the pronunciation, Ms. It wasn't ambiguous. Steinem went on TV, the Dick Cavett Show, 60 Minutes, everywhere, and said it over and over, Ms. The magazine was called Ms. Magazine, pronounced Ms. It was a feminist statement. It was intentional. And for a while, it stuck. Everyone knew how it was pronounced, and the world breathed a sigh of relief. Now, you may be wondering, if they wanted it to be pronounced Ms., why didn't they just spell it MZ? That would have been a lot clearer, right? Well, first, MS already existed. It had historical precedent, even if it was obscure. Repurposing an existing abbreviation gave it more legitimacy than inventing a brand new one. Second, MRS is also an abbreviation of mistress, and its pronunciation doesn't match the spelling either, so Ms. followed that pattern. Third, MZ is a letter combination that doesn't quite fit English convention. I mean, it looks kind of dumb. Unfortunately, the ambiguity of MS has allowed the pronunciation to drift, and boy has it. So what happened? How did we go from Ms. being the standard to Miss being the default, other than people wanting to annoy a certain geezer? First, cultural amnesia. By the 1980s and 90s, second-wave feminism was facing backlash. Conservative media mocked Ms. as PC nonsense, so the feminist context faded. For younger generations, Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z, MS became just another title. They didn't grow up with Ms. Magazine or Gloria Steinem on TV. They encountered MS in forms, emails, and documents, but without audio clues. Second, spelling equals guessing. MS sort of looks like Miss. People defaulted to the familiar pronunciation, and because no one corrected them, it stuck. Third, lack of exposure. If you don't hear Ms. spoken aloud, how are you supposed to know? Teachers don't teach it. Parents don't correct it. And the media? Well, that brings me to my next irritation. Let's talk about Ms. Marvel. Love the comics, love the show, but the Disney Plus series came out in 2022. The character's hero name is Ms. Marvel. And in the show and the 2023 film The Marvels, it's pronounced Miss Marvel. Now I get it. Kamala Khan is a teenager in the 2020s. She would probably say Miss because that's what her generation says. But here's the thing. The showrunners could have used that as a teaching moment. They could have had an older character, her mom, a teacher, someone, correct her. It's Ms. Kamala, but they didn't. And it's not just Ms. Marvel. Automated systems, Siri, Alexa, often say Miss. Corporate training videos say Miss. News anchors are inconsistent. The result, Miss has become the default. And Ms, the intentional pronunciation, is fading into obscurity. So why does this bug me so much? Because language matters. Words have history, they have meaning. MS wasn't just a random abbreviation. It was a statement. Here's the deal. In business, MRS says she's married, probably has kids, might leave work for them. And if you have a bad HR department, Miss says she's single and is fair game to hit on. Ms was women saying, my marital status is none of your business. Treat me as an equal with the men. And when we lose the pronunciation, when MS becomes Miss, we lose that meaning. We lose that history. I'm not saying everyone needs to be a feminist scholar, but I am saying if you're going to use a word, take 2 seconds to look up how it's pronounced. Because if we don't, we're not just mispronouncing a title, we're erasing a piece of history designed to demarginalize half the population. What can we do? 1, use it correctly yourself. Say Ms. instead of Miss. Don't back down, make it normal. 2, if you are in a position to teach it, tell people why it should be Ms. Give them the context. 3, don't let it die quietly in the night or under the boot of indifference. Language evolves, sure. I'm mostly accepting of that. But some parts of language are worth preserving. This is one of them. And that's my rant on Ms. What about you? Do you say Ms. or the other thing? And with that, it's time for me to say that I'm CJ, and I'll see you next time. Oh, and liking is groovy, and subscribing is far out. Later.